And it's important to realize that everyone has a different thing they're looking for. It isn't like I mean, the Enneagram teaches all that, our basic desire. But to know that, hey, we're all, I think, in a journey home, I think. And I guess how we integrate, I guess, all this awareness and practices to just be more present, to be more conscious, is I think the journey. I love what Jim mentioned, that it's a reminder. The app is a reminder, just to remember. For me, I was thinking that before you mentioned it. It's for me to remember who I am, what I'm doing on this earth, and what's important. You mentioned the intention should be to connect with our vibrant inner life, or spiritual, God's spiritual power. There's so many ways of I guess looking at that, and that's what attracts me to it, the beauty, the mystery of what we're getting into. And I think we never quite can touch it, but we can orbit around it. And it's like how this Irish teacher goes, we each have a Holy Grail that we're like wanting to touch or to possess or to work towards. But and the interesting thing, he goes, is the Holy Grail has every perfection but one. It doesn't exist.
What was that?
Doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
The Holy Grail has every perfection but one. It doesn't exist.
Oh.
You mean that? So we could. It doesn't mean that, hey, we don't. That's the mystery, that we never quite. Like pointing at the moon, like Richard Rohr would say. But there is. We can find healthy ways to orbit around that. That Holy Grail. At least that's where I got from him, and what this. I guess the blessing of this class, it just gave me another tool, I guess, in my tool shed or tool belt, to keep going, to keep, I guess, to experience that energy. I love what Rohr told you, Jim, about presence being everything. He's also said the same thing about consciousness being everything. And it's interesting how everything has the same definition as nothing as well. So it's like everything and nothing is like mysteriously have the same definition. And that's the beauty, I guess, of the paradox. There. And it's, and this, like I mentioned, this is before, this is the Sacred Enneagram book. It does at the end point you toward, hey, contemplation is where it's at, contemplative practice. And at least, and he gives like 3 different postures. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the book. Stillness, silence, and aloneness, I think. And depending on your Enneagram number, that's, well, he's identified that's the kind of the posture where you kind of could focus on to encounter or to kind of ground yourself to the present moment. And for me, he said the intention is action, which I love that contemplative action part. Because I was saying before all this, I had the impression that contemplative practice was boring, that it wasn't productive, that was just, wasting time, just sitting up by myself. I said, I want to be by myself. But it surely changed my perspective and way of thinking that hey, you're grounding yourself, you're remembering who you are. So when you are then present to this life that you engage it with fullness, and that's the attractiveness for me. The beauty of that, to be connected, and I think also, I think Richard Rohr says the biggest illusion is the illusion of being separate from God. So it's just this contemplative practice just reminds me that no, I'm not separate from God. I'm present with Him, and I'm connected with Him all the time, but I'm not always aware of that. And that's what this practice does for me, is reminds me that I am connected, and there's something greater than myself going on in this life.
Wow, that was beautiful, Arturo. The one thing I want to really just say that connects with me to what you just said, two things. One, your Enneagram core will affect how you relate to any spiritual practice. It has to. It affects everything. So this one has given me a way. I don't do as well on the 20-minute sit by myself. I do very well on the 3 breaths. For some reason, like I have to really hold on tightly to the 20-minute sit to convince myself that I'm going to do this. But if I'm doing it with you guys, it is absolutely pure joy. You know, if I'm doing it with anyone, and I've tried to get my wife to do it with me, but that doesn't usually work out so well. So anyway, I apparently want someone to do it with me, Jim. But I think that's part about my Enneagram posture. And then the second thing you said about that was beautiful. I experience God all the time, but I fall asleep often during the day to God's presence without even knowing it. It's like you're talking to somebody and you fell asleep and suddenly you wake up. It's just exactly like that. I didn't even know I fell asleep. Yep. And I know I do it with my wife. Same thing. We're here. We're doing stuff all day. And I know she's over there, but I'm not really present to her. And if she comes in and interrupts me, I find that a nuisance because I was right in the middle of something. And it is some very similar kinds of experiences that I have with the app. It's like it's interrupting me. I'm right in the middle of something. God, can you hold on a second? I'll get to you. Because I do the same thing to my wife. I'm like, can you just wait 1 second? You know, I'm right in the middle of something. And but it is a working out of it constantly. You know, I come back to Paul's admonition when he said, work out your salvation with fear and trembling. That's the King James version. But work out what it means to be in a vibrant, intentional relationship with God with awe and carefulness, because it is an amazing thing to be in relationship with God, is how the Jim Taylor version goes. But it's not automatic. It's something I'm going to be working on until I see him face to face.